Welcome, everybody. Episode 6, Pitch Perspective. I'm your host, Steven Ramirez. And yeah, I can't believe we're already here. Episode 6, that's a month and a half. When you look at it, this is called Changing Tactics on USSF. Originally, I opened up with the podcast that I wanted to do this series about, our closed system and things that we can try to attempt, or these ideas around fixing our system. It's everything we've been building on. This has been criticism on that structure on Soccer United States. And like I said, I tried to talk about different solutions. They were just kind of like random ideas without any like real structure for change. So I kind of wanted to change that discussion by highlighting some of the things that are actually happening in US soccer and the impact that it's happening and how that can actually change the trajectory of the sport rather than just some of these ideas that are pretty random. But honestly, as we continue to discuss things about the system of soccer and just, the sport at our level in general, that we'll continue to I'll continue to throw out some of these ideas, and I hope over time that you guys can go ahead and ask me those questions and we can kind of get into bigger discussions that way. But as far as the open closed system series discussion, I'm closing it. That's its own closed. And we're going to switch things up. So a couple of things before we get into the main thing that I'm seeing from the changes that we could have in USSF and the changes in soccer culture, I kind of want to start out with a couple of news stories that I think affects soccer and amateur soccer in United States. First and foremost, we have the US Open Cup, right? We're down to quarterfinals. This is Tuesday the 7th. You'll be getting this, or on Tuesday the 6th. This will be coming out on Wednesday the 7th. So as of today, we saw Pittsburgh Riverhounds of USL Championship, one of the two remaining clubs in the US Open Club from Division II, face off against FC Cincinnati. Unfortunately, Pittsburgh just wasn't able to match up at all well against FC Cincinnati, who had complete control of the match, dominated pretty much every statistical category, and played physical and really, like I said, dominated. So unfortunately, we see that exit. Houston Dynamo faced off against Chicago Fire. Houston demolished them 4-1. So we see bigger score lines in the quarterfinals here. So we'll see those two teams head up to the semifinals. On Wednesday, we're going to have LA Galaxy versus Real Salt Lake. So nice little West Coast matchup we're going to see there. And then the last USL Championship side, Birmingham Legion, will face Inter Miami FC. And Inter Miami is kind of interesting. Everyone was probably seeing like the news bubbling up about Lionel Messi coming to Miami FC. There's been, rumors about him going to the Saudi League with Ronaldo, with Benzema now. And the bag was like 1.2 billion over 2 years. It's a crazy amount. And that's kind of unreal, but there was also the potential of going back to Barcelona, which is, something he's talked about ever since leaving. And then there was this other option about going to Inter Miami. So you had these deals up in the air, and Barcelona was an exit. Financially, they just couldn't do it. So it just wasn't a possibility. And Messi's wife wants to live in Miami if those are the options, and so it's looking like that's going to happen. And the deal itself is pretty lucrative, and he's getting more than just the contract. And we'll kind of talk about MLS in general and how they handle this kind of business. But I've seen like reports because it's not finalized of 54 million to 100 million a year. Um, with like a 2-year contract and option for third stake, like stake in Inter Miami FC, um, Apple revenue share for subscriptions. That's one thing that's been hinted at. Another kind of supporting factor to that is that they're going to be releasing it's a like documentary series about Messi and his World Cups and the path to his championships. So that's kind of like in support because that comes out, and now all this like talk about brand deals, whether that's Adidas and Apple, kind of like pushing this move towards MLS. So that'll be just kind of interesting. Obviously having Messi play in the States is good, right? Like that's going to attract so much attention before the World Cup. And, regardless of it being towards MLS, like just getting more people involved in soccer is going to get some people going to their local matches and just kind of influence, that move in general increases the popularity, which, helps out at the amateur level too. So while we hate MLS, I think that is a positive as far as this move goes. As far as like, the negative, I don't really see it except for like this kind of like weirdness of this MLS system, right? Of this closed system, because they place these barriers and they place these structures in place to provide like parity. But every time they need to make a move like this, they consistently bend the rules. When it's like Beckham and the DP come in, the DP rules come in, and then all of a sudden they add more DPs. They get TAM, they get GAM, and they're trading all of this internal monopoly money mechanism. But every time they want to do something big, they have to change the rules to accompany that. And here we go with something else happening again, because it can't just be Inter Miami and their ownership group, purchasing or not, transferring Messi over to their club. It has to be MLS as an entity um, getting Messi and giving them to their franchise owner of Miami. And while I'm not completely knowledgeable, I'm sure Miami Investment Group helps. This is a huge deal for MLS. So, like it said, their partners, their sponsors, everyone's going to be helping out to create this to make this move happen. So, that's how I see it. Of course it's their league, and they're gonna do whatever they want to do. And this is, if you're gonna change the rules, I guess it's for this. But there's always going to be that excuse. And if you take away the things like salary cap and just that in general for MLS, if you take that away and let clubs actually spend what they want to spend, their competition against Liga MX sides and their ability to go through Club World Cup is going to be like, it's going to be heightened. The talent's going to be more developed, because clubs that have a bigger spend are going to bring in great talent who's going to be working with their academies, and these players are just going to continue to develop. So obviously, people have talked about that with the MLS for so long, and that's not going to happen. So that's not really I think viable. So so that's some of the news that I wanted to cover. Now I want to go ahead and jump into some of those topics where we talk about like cultural change within soccer. All right, so let's talk about Everyone's favorite topic, promotion and relegation. And the reason why I want to talk about this because we are talking about cultural shift in the soccer community, and right now one of the things or one of the main barriers that we have for just the change of thought in this idea of promotion relegation. It's just these barriers of like, well, no business owner is going to want to risk that investment. Why would they want to? They've paid this giant franchise fee to do this, so that's never going to happen. And so that's divided. But you also have this group of people who watch soccer but have understood that their other franchises in other leagues have just sucked and have had no penalty or no reason to grow. And you think about these teams, whether regardless of sport, that haven't won championships or done anything in decades, and that's haunting as a sports fan, right? Like you are like if you're in like one of those markets, like let's say Cleveland for the Cleveland Browns, right? Like if you're in one of those markets, you want to see your team grow and do big, but if there's no incentive because you can't go out there and spend more or raise funds differently, you're just beholden to this billionaire about what and how they're gonna allocate money towards their club or towards their team. um it's not gonna change it. So we have kind of like this desire for promotion relegation in other sports without like knowing the concept. And then we get Ted Lasso, which I haven't watched, but obviously I've seen the effect of bringing this idea of promotion relegation to the forefront of sports media. And that in itself, I think will continue to resonate with new fans into soccer, new fans who might be coming in to see Messi, right? So those messages will continue to resonate, and I think you could see an increased desire over time to want something like that. Also, you look at just the stories in general that are happening. Competition in the U.S. Open Cup is increasing, and while results aren't the same as last year, because obviously we had Sacramento Republic just cruising, well, not cruising, just like stomping up to the top into the finals, and we didn't have anything like that at least so far this year. Um, the hype around the tournament, I think the strength and talent and competition that was shown by the USL clubs, by the clubs like Tulsa Athletic, showed the amount of quality that there is in this country, and that in itself showed that the gap. Or in my opinion, that showed that the gap is narrowing between each division, because we're going to start continue to see League Two clubs players go to League One, NISA going to championship going to MLS. All of these things are going to continue to happen, and at that visible level, while it's still continuing to happen at a less visible, less popular level like NPSL, UPSL, regional leagues, right? Because let's be real, even amongst USL fans, that is still an unknown world. And to be honest, even within our own world, that's still kind of difficult to understand. So, um, you know, the importance is, obviously just getting everyone in the idea of having this movement that can happen. And the biggest example, obviously we talk about these weird connections like Ted Lasso, the show, or Wrexham being promoted and them having their Welcome to Wrexham show. You're seeing examples of the stories on both sides. When we look at the Premier League, we look at like relegation, and like it's like just their, I suck at saying that name, City FC, they get relegated. And this is a team back in 2016 who won the Premier League. They got promoted in 2014. They ended up winning it in 2016, and slowly just couldn't continue that momentum, and now here they are, 2023, relegated back into the championship. um it's like their fastest progression from League Two all the way up into Premier League, and then they win the championship, and it's probably like one of the shortest, like, trips back down. But that's promotion relegation. Like, you can do something great within the first, few years of, being in a new league, or taking a few years to just climb up the ladder, or and then on the other hand, you could crash just as fast. So, it takes good people running the organization to continue to evolve over time, grow, and have a good plan for that growth, and not just kind of react to whether that's going to happen or not, or in the moment. You got to find a good manager. I think we all understand that. Find a good manager, find good coaches, find players that want to play for your club. That's pretty much, how you can, build that structure and build that passion. We also have Leeds United got relegated, which kind of sucks because obviously they have all the American talent, Tyler Adams, who, when I was looking, he had such a, like, a mature post, like always, like Tyler Adams has for such a young kid, and like every comment in his like Twitter posts was just like so much support from like all the Leeds fans. Like, I didn't see like one negative comment. Everyone's talking about, like, just give Leeds a chance, stay with them in the lower levels, like become like the captain, like he has what it takes to become legend status with the club, that they really want him to stay. And it's like, wow, that's crazy because he is so young and he does have that maturity, but to see a club really want their identity to be built around someone like this, and I think it makes sense, right? Because Leeds is known for, or has been known for, that like hardworking mentality, and when you look at Tyler Adams, that's like everything he is. While he is, brilliant, and what makes him stand out is his attitude towards work, towards the job that he needs to do, his ability to lead and, carry some of his teammates that he needs to. He wants to do the dirty work, and he's willing to take accountability if some of those things happen. And those are all good captains thing. And while he has the potential, to go to any club that he wants to in the world, I might have the unpopular opinion that I think he should actually become a club legend. I don't think many players, foreign players, get that opportunity, and we have seen that with some players. Steve Cherundolo is very well respected. He was the mayor of Hanover, and he's one of the U.S. national teams. Legends, uh, iconic players that we've had. He's now coaching at LAFC. We've also had, like, I think Tim Ream now, right? Like, he was like one of the best center backs this year for Fulham. So I think you have even someone like that. Clint Dempsey also with Fulham. He did so much. Full America, right? I mean, that's how it was. So you don't really have a lot of those. And I think that would be good because he has that mentality. He could actually carry them. And what do you choose? Like, how do you choose? Is it winning titles, or do you want to become a legend, right? How do you want to leave your mark? And I guess that's such a big question, and everyone would have a different answer. But if it was my opinion, or if it was my choice to make, the idea of becoming a legend and helping out a community and being such a big piece of that community, um, that is pretty enticing. And just from, I think, seeing how Tyler Adams reacts as being a captain, and portrays himself, I feel like that would be something too because, he's gonna get the bag, right? Like, if he's so good and if he decides to stay with Leeds and helps them get promoted back up within a season, he's gonna get a bag. So, like, I don't think worrying about that is an issue. Um, but he has a chance to do something. I don't know. He's gonna do great for the national team, and this could be another uh, part of his story. So I don't know. Long rant. I love Tyler Adams. I mean, he's Captain America. So whatever he's gonna do, I mean, he's just gonna be, I think, one of the most or the most important piece for the U.S. national team. So yeah, long rant about Leeds United there, but in that same situation, when we talk about promotion, we got Luton Town. Luton Town has made their way up from League Two, taken a couple of years to rise through the ranks. They are now in the Premier League. Such a crazy story, because this team has been around from the late 1800s, and had that success. It went into ruin, fell down all the way outside of the football leagues, and built their way back up. And now they're in the Premier League. And this is why promotion relegation is so nice because they have 218,000 population. And what's crazy is like the United States has 109 cities with more of a population. And these are cities like that people wouldn't even consider a market for like a professional team. And we see, amateur clubs in these teams. So like let's say or so 109 would be Frisco, Texas, and they have North Texas FC. So we got that. Side note, I got that from my godson because they live up in North Texas, so that was cool. And we have Hialeah, Florida, which I can't recall at the top of my head who it is, but I know there's been UPSL sides that have played out of there as well. So you're telling me that if they can achieve something like this in a highly more competitive environment and have this kind of population and have all these things that MLS and MLS fans and US soccer says that you need to be this great club, they can have none of that, have their stadium, have their community, have passion, and make it to the Premier League, but we can't introduce it. That's all I'm saying. Um, I don't want to get. It's so hard because I want to talk about like the promotion relegation stories, but I don't want to like get too far into like that because I feel like that's been rehashed so many times. So we're gonna keep on going. Another story that I wanted to show as far as like Serie A promotion, Sampdoria got relegated after 10 seasons within the top flight. Lecce stays up. A small city, 95,000. You can see like one of the videos where just from staying up and not being relegated, the amount of fans that just rush the stadium, rush the field to show their excitement, their happiness, the joy of continuing to grow as a football club. It's so important. And 95,000, if you had 109 cities more than 218,000, I don't even want to know how many are more than 95,000. Because that's going to be a lot. And that only strengthens the example that I talk about as far as Luton Town. So um, kudos to promotion and relegation. So now that we wrap that up, let's talk about another part of the soccer culture. And I want to talk about paid tournaments. Obviously, this past weekend, we had the soccer tournament, TST, 7v7 tournament. That ran in, and I'll kind of show some of the rules, but it was a 7v7 tournament, 32 teams. They put into a round of 16, then a round of 8, quarter semis into the finals. A lot of these teams that entered were professional pros. You had a Team Dempsey, where you had like Clint Dempsey on there. I know he had a few other players. You had this team, it was like Sneaky Fox FC, that had Landon Donovan, Jay Demerit, Alan Gordon, Nick Raimondo, I believe. You had Borussia Dortmund, they had Roman Weidenfeller, Dede, Felipe Santana. You had Watford or Wolverhampton Wolves, uh, Hapoel Tel Aviv. So you have these pro clubs like coming in from 7 different countries. You also had, clubs from here, Charlotte FC, new MLS side, joined in. You had amateur clubs from UPSL, MPSL, or I'm sorry, I think just like UPSL, just teams thrown together. Like I said, more, of these like kind of like pro clubs, influencer based clubs. I mean, so many different things. Everyone's competing for $1 million. That's so insane. Um, and I've talked negatively a lot about money tournaments and how I felt it created a toxic environment for the sport, because it didn't really, I don't think I saw the 7v7, or I saw this kind of like pickup tournament play as a viable way to grow the culture or to grow a brand as a soccer club. Um, and I think I used that. Um, well, I don't think, I mean, I definitely know that I used that, um, to kind of like judge or say that it can have no impact because it's not like real soccer, right? But, real soccer, or saying that, is just like gatekeeping. Um, And the beauty of the culture of the sport is it should be, its diversity should be celebrated, whether it's, all the different forms of soccer, beach soccer, or you have these tournaments like the soccer tournament, or you have Copa Alianza, things like that. You can have an opportunity to celebrate uh, retired players who, have the glory of the game and, want to continue to remain competitive. And you have, amateur clubs who are really showing their talents and passion for the game, and having players who are continuing to fight for the dream and striving to play professionally. And as you'll see, this is something that we will have in this tournament. And after seeing this, it's really changed my perspective on money tournaments, because into like this setting also helps, because like I said, there's influencers, people making their own jerseys, new crests, all that stuff just for this tournament, new branding, like social. It just was a great event, and it showed me that, if it's done the right way, other competitions can do the same. So we'll take a look at the teams and everything like that. First, let's go ahead and take a look at a video with just kind of like the rules of what's going to go on for TST.
United. This is the soccer tournament, and these are TST's 2023 rules. Now, every soccer player has played 7v7 at some point in their career, and TST is going to be their defining championship. The games will be action-packed, played in under an hour, open to players all around the world, and featuring a revolutionized ending, all for a winner-takes-all prize,
like been involved with
$1 million.
influencer soccer, or influencer
TST's games will be played in
FIFA
two
soccer,
20-minute halves and played on a shorter pitch.
#United, and
Each
their
team will be made up of
rise
6
to kind
outfield
of
players
make
and
this
1
an
goalkeeper.
influencer-based
Total squad
club.
size will be up to 14 players with rolling substitutions rather than having any breaks in play. There's no offsides and no slide tackling in TST, resulting in fewer stoppages and more action throughout the match. Finally, all TST games will end with a goal. Yes, after the two 20-minute
This
halves
is an
are complete,
interesting rule.
teams will play an untimed final frame. a target score will be calculated by taking the leading team's score and adding 1. For example, if Team A are leading Team B by 5 goals to 3 at the end of normal time, the target score will be set at 6. Team A will need just 1 goal to win. Team B will need 3 goals to win. Likewise, if the scores are tied at 4 apiece, the target score will be 5. Or if the score is
I
6-4,
kind of
the
like it.
target
It's kind of
score
weird
will
at
be
first because
7.
it's
You get the
so
idea. In addition, after each 5-minute
unconventional or
period in target
unconventional,
score time, a player from
unconventional.
each team will be ported off
But
the pitch, meaning if there's no winner after 5
it's
minutes,
like
it will be
interesting
6v6.
because
After
like
another
you
5
start
minutes, it will
taking
be
players
5v5,
away.
and so on.
It just really
Quicker games,
spices it up.
more action,
Everyone's going to be
all
fighting
matches
for that
must
goal, and it
end
doesn't
with a
matter
goal.
how
This
many you
TFT
scored
winner takes
in
all soccer.
the normal time. That's just going to be such a huge grind um, to in that final piece. So that's so like it was so enticing to watch it. It's all on it was all on Peacock, so you can watch a bunch of it there. Very enjoyable. And I want to go ahead next here and we'll show you the rep. All right, so here we have our groups for the soccer tournament. Newton Pride Newport, out of Newton, Connecticut. Kingdom FC, Hoosier Army, which is Indiana University alumni. Borussia Dortmund, and when you see like these pro clubs, it's like yeah, these are actually the pro clubs that are sending people. Borussia Dortmund, Blade and Grass FC, who is led by like Breck Shea and Jeff Cameron. DMV Diplomats, Wolverhampton Wolves FC, Vieta FC, Hapoel Tel Aviv from Israel. SLC is Sports League Canada, one of the top sports or one of the top amateur leagues in Canada. It's kind of an all-star group from there. Club Necaxa from Mexico. Virginia Dream. Culture by Mo Ali. Mo Ali is a soccer influencer. I'm not too aware of them, but he is like one of the most popular. Forest United, West Ham United, Dallas United. Damn, there's a lot of that's the United group right there. Group E, we got Wrexham Red Dragons. Same Wrexham, they went ahead and did like this whole new rebrand for just this tournament specifically, and brought in a lot of names that if you watch the series that you would know from there. Como 1907, Say Word FC, US Women. This was the all women, some of the retired national team players. Group F, hashtag United, who, like they were presented right now. Conrad and Beasley United, Jimmy Conrad, DeMarcus Beasley. They even got Dwayne De Rosario in there, who, just Canadian baller. You have Natty SC, Gracie FC. Then in Group G, you have Sneaky Fox. That's the club we talked about with Landon Donovan, Jay DeMerit. Just such a huge list of professional players. Zala FFF was Cesc Fabregas's club. He was a coach and player in that, and then also AJ De La Garza, who back from my time from actually watching MLS was one of my favorite players because his attitude and work ethic, the intangible qualities of becoming a pro athlete, he was the best at that. And those are things that I appreciate as someone who likes tactics, who likes intelligent players, dedicated players. He was always a favorite. Then we have Jackson, Tennessee Boom, Team Dempsey, obviously after Clint Dempsey, Rally Rebels FC, Duke Sevens, North Carolina FC from the USL Championship, and Charlotte FC. So, like all competitions, top two are going to move on. You can watch games on Peacock, but this is what it boiled down to. Newport finished the top, and they kind of made their way. They played some crazy tough teams. They have a pro team here with Hapoel. Then they go in and face Sneaky Fox that has Landon Donovan and all those players over there too. And then, they get to face like a strong SLC side who went through professionals like Jeff Crammon, who's recently retired, Breck Shea, who's recently retired, They went through them. They had to go through Zala, which we already talked about their credentials. And you have two amateur sides going to the soccer tournament. And this is what's exciting because you had all these pro clubs in there. And as you watched through the weekend of the tournament progressing, these pro clubs were like, yo, Newton Pride, like this team is really good. And they were all like checking out these amateur clubs. And I don't think I don't think outside countries really understood the talent. You know, they just see MLS. They have an opinion, a rightful opinion, a justified opinion, an opinion that I hold as well about promotion and relegation in this country. Um, but then they come in and they see this talent, and I think it's shocking, and I think it created a fun tournament. I'm sure some of these American players have, you know, past performances against some of these players, you know, whether it's international or even at the club level. So just having the opportunity to see that in a fun environment like this, broadcasting on a major streaming network, is just a dub for everyone around. So you can go check out the matches on Peacock. Super exciting. Um, and overall, I I think that's a huge impact. And the reason why I wanted to pivot and talk about these things is because these are things that I think we can build on, right? As far as promotion and relegation goes, I think it just increased the coverage of the things that are happening around the globe for the soccer universe, right? This is a global sport, so we need to continue to highlight it globally. And that includes promotion and relegation because those are the biggest storylines when it comes to soccer throughout the world when it's not World Cup. Excuse me. And then having more things outside of league play, having more competitions, having more regional soccer being shown, having more competitions like this, co-ed competitions, sponsored soccer competitions. I think the soccer tournament can like spark something unique within the soccer community that can really grow the brand here in America because this is a very maybe this is American centric, but this is a very American thing to do to put these type of things together and kind of like put this whole event around it, right? I mean, that's like the whole joke of like ESPN the Ocho is they like take this like, you know, all these sports and just kind of like create something and put it on this channel. While of course it's not the same as like you know, fucking cornhole or something. It at least is like a niche of a niche of a niche, and it has relevance, and it found an audience, and everyone enjoyed it. And that is something that I think can grow, um, you know, over time within this country. So, and that's why it's important for this culture, or that's why it's important for the culture. And hopefully, after Newton Pride won this one and talked about how they wanted to, of course, compensate the players who played, but they also want to build their club, donate to their community, use the money for good within their community, and help grow their club, open up scholarships. I mean, this could have easily been a take the money and split the bag up, and everyone gets a nice payday. Um, but it shows you the true meaning of community club and a club that can play amateur like Newton Pride, you know, win their league, go up to USASA region, win that, continue to perform nationally, and now win $1 million in front of an international audience and hundreds of thousands of viewers. So good on you, Newton Pride. Honestly, I think you you help change the narrative of US soccer, and that is powerful. And you got $1 million. Not too bad. So um yeah, that's what we got for this episode. Great talk. As you can tell, I've completely changed the structure in just kind of like 6 episodes, just rolling with the punches. Sometimes we're talking soccer, sometimes we're talking, tactics, interview storylines. Today, this is really something that I wanted to, bring up because, um, we can't continue to just criticize, right? Like, I can have ideas and things that I think are solutions, to the problems that we're facing, but in the short term, like, I can't really create any solutions, I can just throw ideas out there, but we can take a look at some of the things that are already happening that bigger entities that are doing and find ways to promote that, highlight it, and make it a bigger narrative within our culture, and that's what we're doing with the soccer tournament. That's what we're doing with seeing the stories of promotion relegation or creating the shows around soccer or the great, documentaries that are gonna continue to come out. Um, that's how it happened. So that's what I wanted to introduce. I wanted a new vibe for what we were doing. This isn't like a shit on USSF podcast. Even though we're gonna do plenty of that, um, that's not the point. The point is to promote the sport, promote the players, promote the clubs, and talk crap. So thanks for coming to this episode. Next episode, I got a great one lined up. We had an interview with Snohomish County FC, so it's going to be a fishy episode next week. We're going to be looking at some of their matches, and we're going to have and you'll get to have a great interview uh, with two of the members, the president as well as the director of outdoor soccer on, and we're going to be talking about the growth of that club. And if you're watching this podcast, you are probably aware of some of that growth where it started, like I was, and we can kind of see how they're on that new journey. So I'm excited for that one. So thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and go out there, support that local soccer.